You didn't order for your son, my sister said, her voice dripping with a sweetness that curdled my stomach, as she handed my hungry 7-year-old a measly bread basket. Her own children, meanwhile, were devouring platters of food that easily topped $100, their faces smeared with expensive sauces and their laughter echoing through the fancy restaurant. Was I wrong for the way I reacted? Tell me, honestly, would you have done the same thing if you were in my shoes, watching your child being treated like a second-class citizen by his own aunt? It's a question that still haunts me, even now, months after the dust has settled. Let me take you back to the beginning, to a time when I still believed my sister, Sarah, and I could have a normal relationship. We're not twins, but we're only 2 years apart, and growing up, we were inseparable. She was my confidant, my partner in crime, my best friend. We shared everything, from secrets whispered under blankets to dreams of our futures. We even had a secret handshake, for goodness sake. But somewhere along the line, after we both got married and had kids, a chasm opened between us, subtle at first, then growing wider and deeper with each passing year. It wasn't a sudden dramatic explosion, but a slow, insidious erosion of our bond, fueled by small slights and unspoken resentments. Sarah married Mark, a man who, to put it mildly, was incredibly successful. He was a real estate mogul, the kind of guy who wore designer suits even to casual barbecues and had a garage full of luxury cars. With Mark, Sarah entered a world of opulence I could only dream of. They lived in a sprawling mansion, vacationed in exotic locales, and their children, Liam and Chloe, were showered with every imaginable luxury. My husband, David, and I, on the other hand, lived a more modest life. We weren't struggling, by any means. David is a wonderful teacher, passionate about his work, and I'm a freelance graphic designer. We make enough to be comfortable, to give our son, Leo, a good life, but it's a far cry from Sarah's extravagant lifestyle. Leo is our only child, a bright, curious, and sweet boy who, even at 7, has a remarkable sense of fairness. He's observant, too, and he picked up on the differences between our family and Sarah's almost immediately. He never complained, but I could see the questions in his eyes, the way he'd watch his cousins unwrap yet another expensive gadget while he cherished his well-loved toys. The disparity in our lives, unfortunately, began to manifest itself in Sarah's behavior. She started subtly, almost imperceptibly, treating us differently. Family gatherings became less about connection and more about demonstrating her wealth. She'd constantly talk about her latest designer handbag, her upcoming cruise, or the private school her kids attended, often pausing to give me a sympathetic glance, as if to say, "Poor you, stuck in your little world." I tried to ignore it, to remind myself that she was still my sister, that perhaps she didn't realize how her words stung. David, bless his patient heart, would always tell me to let it go, that Sarah was just insecure and felt the need to flaunt her success. I wanted to believe him. I really did, but then the incidents started to pile up. One Christmas, she gave Liam and Chloe each a brand new gaming console, while Leo received a small, generic Lego set. She claimed she didn't know what he liked, despite me having sent her a detailed list of his interests just weeks before. Another time, she invited us to her home for a pool party, but then spent the entire afternoon bragging about her newly renovated kitchen, which cost more than our entire house. She even made a comment about how quaint our kitchen was, making me feel incredibly self-conscious. I tried to speak to her about it, gently, one-on-one, but she would always brush me off, accusing me of being jealous or oversensitive. "Oh, stop being so dramatic," she'd say, rolling her eyes. "It's just a joke." But it never felt like a joke to me. It felt like a constant reminder of our differing statuses, a wedge being driven deeper and deeper between us. The final straw, the incident that irrevocably shattered our sisterly bond, happened a few months ago. It was my mother's birthday, and she, in an effort to bring us all together, decided to treat everyone to dinner at a rather upscale Italian restaurant. My mother, who is not wealthy herself, had saved up for this special occasion, wanting to celebrate with her entire family. She insisted on paying for everyone, a gesture that both David and I appreciated deeply. Before we even arrived at the restaurant, Sarah called me, her voice buzzing with an almost aggressive enthusiasm. "So, Mom's treating, right? We should really make the most of it," she chirped. I had a strange feeling in my gut, a little knot of unease, but I dismissed it, hoping for the best. We arrived at the restaurant a few minutes early, Leo excitedly clutching a handmade birthday card for his grandma. Sarah, Mark, Liam, and Chloe were already seated at a large, circular table. Liam and Chloe, dressed in their expensive, perfectly coordinated outfits, were already looking at the menu, their eyes wide with anticipation. Leo, in his simple but clean clothes, felt a sudden shyness clinging to my leg. We exchanged greetings, and I tried to make conversation, but Sarah was already focused on the menu, practically salivating over the most expensive dishes. "Oh, look at this. Lobster ravioli, and the Wagyu steak, Mark, you simply must try it," she exclaimed, loud enough for half the restaurant to hear. My mother, looking a little flustered, tried to interject, "Now, Sarah, darling, let's not go too overboard. We want to be mindful of the budget." But Sarah just waved her hand dismissively. "Mom, it's your birthday. You deserve to splurge. Don't worry about it." The waiter came to take our orders. My mother, trying to regain some control, started to order for herself and my father. When it came to our turn, David and I ordered modest dishes, things we knew Leo would enjoy and that wouldn't break the bank, even if my mother was paying. We ordered a simple pasta dish for Leo, knowing he loved spaghetti. Then it was Sarah's turn. And that's when the true horror show began. She proceeded to order the most expensive appetizers, main courses, and desserts for herself, Mark, Liam, and Chloe. She ordered them each a fancy, sparkling non-alcoholic drink, and even an extra side of truffles for Liam's pasta. My mother's face was a mixture of shock and quiet despair, but she didn't say anything, clearly trying to maintain the festive atmosphere. I felt my blood pressure rising, but I bit my tongue, not wanting to cause a scene on my mother's special day. The waiter meticulously wrote down their extensive order, his pen flying across the pad. Then, he looked at us. "And for the young man?" he asked, indicating Leo. Before I could even open my mouth, Sarah piped up, "Oh, we didn't order for your son. He can just share from the bread basket, can't he? We have plenty here." My jaw dropped. David's eyes widened in disbelief. My mother looked like she'd been slapped. Leo, sensing the tension, looked from Sarah to me, his little face crumpling. He looked so small, so hurt. So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have stayed silent to avoid a scene? Would you have confronted her head-on? Would you have just walked out? What would you have done, truly, if it was your child being so blatantly disrespected? I wish I could say I remained calm and collected. I wish I could say I handled it with grace and dignity. But I didn't. Something inside me snapped. It wasn't just about the food, or the money, or the sheer audacity of her statement. It was about years of feeling belittled, of watching my son be treated as less than, of her casual cruelty finally boiling over. My voice, when it came, was surprisingly steady, but laced with an icy fury I rarely let anyone see. "Sarah," I said, my eyes fixed on hers, "what did you just say?" She feigned innocence, a little smile playing on her lips. I said, "He can have some bread. We ordered so much, there's plenty for him, I'm sure." She gestured vaguely to the overflowing table in front of her. "It's Mom's treat, remember? We wanted to make sure everyone got what they wanted." Her voice was still sickeningly sweet, but I could see the malicious glint in her eyes. She knew exactly what she was doing. She wanted to humiliate us. She wanted to make a statement about our place in her world. I leaned forward, my hands clenched under the table. "No, Sarah," I said, my voice gaining strength. "You didn't order for my son. And you know what? That's fine." My mother looked terrified. David looked like he was bracing for impact, and even Mark, usually so unflappable, seemed a little surprised. Liam and Chloe, bless their innocent hearts, just looked confused, pausing their enthusiastic menu perusal. I turned to the waiter, who looked like he wanted to be anywhere but there. "Excuse me," I said, my voice now clear and commanding, "we will be leaving." My mother gasped. Sarah's smile finally faltered. What are you talking about?" she practically shrieked. "It's Mom's birthday." I stood up, taking Leo's hand. He looked up at me, his eyes wide, but there was a flicker of understanding there, too. "It is Mom's birthday," I said, looking directly at Sarah, "and she deserves to celebrate it with people who respect her and her family. We will not be sitting here and watching our son be treated like an afterthought, Sarah. We will not be accepting your scraps." I then turned to my mother, my voice softening slightly. "Mom, I am so sorry. This is not how your birthday should be." She looked at me, her eyes filled with tears, and gave me a small, almost imperceptible nod. She understood. "David, ever the gentleman, stood up immediately, taking my arm. "We're leaving," he said, his voice firm, leaving no room for argument. "We'll call you later, Mom." As we walked away from the table, Sarah's voice, now shrill and angry, followed us. "You are being ridiculous. You are ruining everything. You are always so dramatic." But her words bounced off me like pebbles against a shield. I felt a strange sense of liberation, a weight lifting from my shoulders. Leo, holding my hand tightly, didn't say a word until we were outside the restaurant, the cool night air a welcome relief. "Mom," he whispered, "why didn't Aunt Sarah order for me?" I knelt down, pulling him into a hug. "Because, sweetie, some people forget what's important. But it doesn't mean you're not important. You are the most important boy in the world to me and Dad." He nodded, burying his face in my shoulder. That night, David and I took Leo to his favorite pizza place, where he devoured a large pepperoni pizza, his smile wide and genuine. It was a simple meal, but it was filled with love and respect, something Sarah's lavish dinner couldn't buy. The aftermath was exactly what I expected, and yet, also surprising. Sarah immediately launched into a full-scale emotional assault, primarily through my mother. She called my mother incessantly, crying, railing against me, accusing me of being jealous, ungrateful, and of ruining her perfect birthday celebration. My mother, torn between her two daughters, relayed some of this to me, her voice heavy with sorrow. I simply told her that I had no regrets. I also sent Sarah a text message, short and to the point: "Our relationship is over until you can treat me and my family with basic human respect. What you did tonight was unforgivable." She never responded. Other family members, those who heard about the incident, were divided. Some thought I overreacted, that it was just a misunderstanding, or that I should have taken the high road. But many, many more quietly reached out to me, expressing their solidarity, telling me they had witnessed Sarah's condescending behavior for years and were glad someone finally stood up to her. My mother, after a few weeks of silence, came to visit us. She didn't say much, but she brought Leo a new set of Legos, a much larger and more intricate one than Sarah had given him for Christmas. And as she hugged me goodbye, she whispered, "You did the right thing, honey." I should have said something a long time ago. That meant the world to me. Sarah and I haven't spoken since that night. I've blocked her number, unfollowed her on social media. It's been incredibly painful, like mourning the death of someone who is still alive. But it's also been peaceful. The constant anxiety, the feeling of being judged, the subtle stings of her snobbery, it's all gone. Leo is happier, too. He no longer compares himself to his cousins, and he knows that his parents will always stand up for him. I learned a hard lesson about family, about boundaries, and about knowing when to walk away from toxic relationships, no matter how deeply rooted they are. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for yourself and your children is to protect them from those who diminish their worth. It was a painful, dramatic end to a lifelong bond, but it was necessary. So, that's my story. It's still raw, still fresh, but I know I made the right choice.